Hey, thanks for making it to Veterans Info Tap. I'm glad you made it. I have Scott Lara here with NCOA. NCOA, fantastic organization. I'm not going to take that wind out of your sails, Scott. I'm going to let you explain what that is in a moment. Scott is a Navy veteran, solid gentleman here, and again, representing the NCOA. Now, we're going to dive into some topics here, Scott, about kind of the current climate, what we can do to make sure that everything keeps going the way we want it to go, get the good things done that need to get done, but also protect and preserve what we have at the same time. It's a two-sided coin, if you will. And I really wanted to get some insights from you and NCOA. So Scott, please introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about NCOA so people understand, and then we'll start diving into it.
Thank you so much, Jason. It's an honor to be on the show, and thanks for all you are doing to get the word out about our veterans information. And as Jason says, let the video run, hit that like button, because when we share what we are doing here, we want to help more veterans understand what's going on. The NCOA, the Non-Commissioned Officers Association, been around since 1960. I was born in 61. As Jason said, I'm a U.S. Navy veteran. I joined the Navy in 79. I was working at the Kmart camera department. My assistant manager said, "Hey, Scott, what do you want to do with your life?" I said, "I don't know." And he said, "Join the Navy, see the world." He forgot to tell me the world was 75% water. So I joined the Navy, sailed all over the world, Italy, Spain, France, met a lot of great people. I was stationed at Camp Lejeune, married, 2 grown kids and 3 grandkids. The NCOA, the Non-Commissioned Officers Association, we are out here representing veterans. We also have a medallion program where you as an individual or a company can buy medallions, and we give those to World War II, Vietnam, and also to Vietnam, World War II, and it really helps our veterans feel appreciated. And so that's something you can do. Also, we have an auxiliary where the wives and the family members can be a part of the NCOA. They're a very loud voice. And you go to ncousa.org, you'll see everything. And that's what we're out here doing, because we're looking at some challenging times, and we're going to work together to navigate through those.
That's awesome, Scott. So the NCOA, the Non-Commissioned Officers Association, I'm assuming that you would have to be a non-commissioned officer, or you had reached that rank at some point. I know some veteran service organizations out there allow for some leeway in that to bolster membership. Now, what I'm going to tell folks is, if you are not part of a veteran service organization, I highly suggest you do so. This is our lobbying body. This is these organizations are the folks that are at DC. They're the ones that are reaching out with their head count, so to speak, as their wand as they're in there talking, right? So it's usually a fairly low cost. It's definitely something that you should do, I believe. Now, I'm assuming that like all these there's a lot of veteran service organizations out there. Some are kind of under this nonprofity world, but others are actually congressionally chartered, and that is NCOA, I am assuming. Is that correct, Scott?
Well, NCOA, again, those are a lot of details on that, but the fact of the matter is, when you talk about low cost, it's $30 a year. And so it's a very low cost to be counted. As I said, we have our auxiliary, which are the women and so forth, the spouses. And you asked a great question. Is it only non-commissioned officers? It is E1 through E9. So anybody, you don't have to be an NCO. Like I was a E6, a petty officer first class. So, and you can go to the website and see all the details on it, our status and everything. But I will tell you that we have some very passionate chapter presidents around the country, in Oregon, in Florida, California, and you can be a part of one of these chapters too, to even have more of a voice. But I actually come from a lobbying background. I was in the home health industry for 15 years, up on Capitol Hill, knocking on doors. I actually had a political action committee. And the fact of the matter is, ladies and gentlemen, you need to know who your member of Congress is. You can go on the internet, type in your address. You're going to see your 2 senators and your congressman or woman, and you need to get to know them. You need to give the office a call and say, may I talk to your veteran person? Hi, I'm Scott Lara, U.S. Navy veteran. I'd like to share with you my thoughts. Please put me on your list. And even in your local, you don't need to go to DC. You can go to your local office and talk to the member of the staffer and say, listen, on a scale of 1 to 10, this is a 100. This is talking about fellow veterans like myself to preserve the benefits we've earned and to make sure that we don't lose those.
Right. I am 100% with you, Scott. Look, everybody fears the flagpole, right? Nobody wants to go near anybody that is in some sort of elected position, or nobody wants to go see the general. Nobody wants to go see a colonel. Everybody wants to stay over here and do their own thing.
Right.
Look, the constituent offices, the offices in your congressional district, are super easy to get into. And I'm telling you now that there are plenty of groups out there that are loud and consistent, and we need to be one of those at the constituency level. I think we have it on the Hill with people signing up with the different various organizations like NCOA. But doing it at the constituency level is very important. And like you said, Scott, there is a staffer there that is assigned to anything dealing with Veterans Affairs or DOD, and that is now their wheelhouse, and any constituent issues that one person deals with. And I will tell you, it is, find out where that office is and just swing by, walk in. Hey, there's somebody there. They're typically kind of small offices.
Right.
There'll be a little desk in there. There'll be somebody that pops up, they're in college or whatever. And they're like, hey, how can I help you? And, you introduce yourself. And, hey, I just wanted to find out who handles VA stuff. Oh, that's Tom Jones. Perfect. Here's his card. He's not in now. He's at some sort of meeting, whatever. Great. Thank you so much. And now you have a contact, and you have somebody that you can let know what's important to you, whatever that may be. And I'm telling you that the more of us that do that, the better off we will all be. Because I'll tell you, these and Scott, these congressional offices, there's no line out the door of people waiting to say anything. It's the same 7 people that keep going in there about whatever it is. The only thing that I ever say is make sure that your issue is federal when you're going in there and having that conversation. Don't complain about your bad potholes in the road, right? Go talk to your county, commissioner or your board of supervisors or whatever for that. If it's a state issue, talk to your state representative. So make sure that you're in the right lane as you complain, because you don't want to lose your credibility with that.
And let me add to that. That's a very good point, and you want to go in with a good attitude too, right? Go in with a smile, be nice, because you have to understand these staffers are talking to a lot of people on the phone, and they're talking to people, and a lot of people are calling to complain, right? If you go in, hey, I'm Scott Lara, nice to meet you, Tommy. Hey, tell me a little bit about yourself. Take a moment to learn about the staffer, right? They may be going to college or whatever they're doing, and then say, this is my concern. I am concerned with everything going on in the news. You know it, and I know it. And without getting political here on the podcast, is just, we understand there are changes, and yes, there are things that need to be tightened up at the VA. Yes, there are things. However, I am concerned about means testing. I am concerned that the benefits we've earned may be cut. And yes, I am in favor of streamlining, and I will be a voice to help you with that. But like with the NCOA, we are, along with these other veteran service organizations, American Legion, DAV, we're all working together. Wounded Warriors, we're all working together for one purpose. We're all pulling on the same rope to make sure our benefits are protected and to let them know. And I love Secretary Collins. I mean, Jason talked about this on one of his previous podcasts. I'm very encouraged by him, a veteran, a chaplain. And if you've looked at Secretary Collins's social media, he has been very positive about what's going on. And it seems like he has an open door. And the NCOA is reaching out to Secretary Collins and saying, hey, we would like to sit down with you, share our concerns. We want to work with you to ensure veterans are protected.
That's right. It's all about protecting and preserving while making like you said, more streamlined, right? If the focus is truly trying to make sure that we're not spending $1 million on toothpicks, right? Because guess what? It's a giant organization, and believe me, there are contracts that have been long forgotten, and the checks just keep getting sent. Now, if that's the focus and that's where we're going, great. But we want to make sure that people stay in their lanes, and that's all that we want to make sure, and that our benefits are protected and preserved. And really, quite frankly, the it's twofold. The veteran service organizations like NCOA, doing that on the Hill, good. Doing that by reaching, who else can reach out to the secretary of the VA and actually get them to pick up the phone?
Right.
Not me, right? So it takes these types of bodies to do that. And a lot of times, most cases, they work together, either behind the scenes or in unison, all towing the same line. And so there's two things. There's that, and then us again at the constituency level. Now, one of the things you mentioned was some articles that have been published regarding CBO, the Congressional Budget Office. Now, this has been an ongoing issue with the Congressional Budget Office, which they blow me away because one, they specifically state, Scott, that this in no way is a recommendation. It's just an option. Imagine working at a place called the budget office, right? Where you don't need to make any recommendations. All you do is give options. Well, that's pretty damn easy. I could go in and make a bunch of options about everything. Here's an option. Everybody in Congress gets half of what they get today. And, no retirement because it's some sort of elected public servant type of a position. So you don't even get retirement. It's just you come in, you do your service and bounce out. That's an option. So it just blows me away that it's options. One of the things I wanted to ask you, Scott, was when we see this type of noise coming from the Congressional Budget Office
Right.
year after year. Okay, I did this in another video, the before Trump and after Trump, right? So BT, AT. So this has happened BT before Trump. This stuff was happening, and it's happening now. So, in fact, well, I mean, I guess technically it hasn't happened yet because we haven't hit that cycle. The last time that this had happened was December of 2024,
Right.
where the Congressional Budget Office threw out like 4 or 5 different really dumb ideas and called them options on the back of veterans to help reduce the deficit. My question to you, Scott, is how long do we, as a body, a veteran body, just go, and don't even say anything. Don't act like it bothers us. Pretend we don't even notice it and do that. How long do we do something like that before the body that can make a change goes, nobody seems to care? Keep in mind, Scott, that our veteran population is declining. So chime in a little bit on all of that.
Well, I tell you, I'm a parent. I'm also a grandparent, and it's always the one kid that's asking, for the car or for the dress or for this. So you're going to listen to the kid who is saying what they want, and it's the same way. Jason, you nailed it, because I used to be in the healthcare industry, and there's this group called MedPAC, the Medicare Payment Advisory Commission. These eggheads that sit there and make these options to give to the Centers for Medicare Services. Hey, you can do A, B, C, or D, and then it's up to them to make whatever changes they want to. Very, seamless, right? They just sit there. But what you got to watch out for, and I hate saying it, Project 2025, Google it, you'll see we see the iceberg. We're on the Titanic and we're heading to the iceberg. And you and I and others like us are those voices in the wilderness saying, ladies and gentlemen, yes, we served. We did our duty, but now is the time to re-engage, because one day we may wake up and we'll see means testing. We may see one day that if you have tinnitus, which is the #1 disability, may go to 0. There could be changes. And so now we have an option to join the NCOA, to be a part of a bigger group. We have another option to, follow Veterans Info tab, like and subscribe, sharing this video, to go to our elected members of Congress, because if we do nothing, trust me, I wear bifocals. Okay, I'm not wearing them now, but I can see far and I can see close, and I do see it. And now is the time for us, while we can, and as we mentioned, about the PACT Act. many veterans just came on board with the VA. With all transparency, I was at Camp Lejeune. I had that water there, right? Now, I don't have lung cancer or kidney cancer or brain cancer today, but what's going to happen in 5 or 10 or 20 years? And listen, God bless John Stewart. If it wasn't for John Stewart standing on those Capitol steps, lobbying for us, just like he did with the firefighters at 9/11, and that was John Stewart, right? So
Right.
I'm just encouraging everyone in this audience, number one, like and subscribe and share this video. Support Veterans Info Tab. Number two, join the NCOA. $30 if you're a veteran, E1 through E9, even active duty or the auxiliary. Check out the medallions and let's work together to preserve our benefits. Because if we don't, my friends,
Right.
right?
Yeah. No, I agree. And here's the thing. Look, whether you believe something is going to take place or not, the fact that it is mentioned needs to be met with some sort of resistance, right? So even though, for example, I'll use myself as an example, the CBO for stupid options, I don't think that those are going to go in. I think they have zero chance of going anywhere, anytime in the near future. None, zero. But you can believe that I am going to be frustrated that it's even mentioned. Because again, when you look at other groups out there,
Right.
they'll throw a fit over the idea, over a word. And then all of a sudden it goes away, right? So we need to be, I don't know if this is the right word, sensitive, whatever, right? We are so, that's not going to happen. Why even talk about it? That it opens up the door, and here's a way to combat it. There's actually a couple different ways. There's multiple, but here's two of my favorite ways, right? One, there's strength in numbers.
Right.
Anytime that any veteran service organization out there has a discussion, it should never be disabled veterans, because that's about 6 million people. It shouldn't even be veterans, because that's about 18 million, which is still small in the big picture.
Right.
It's better than 6, though. But we need to start talking about the veteran sphere, is what I call it. And that includes spouses and dependents and surviving spouses and caregivers, which the VA recently changed kind of their, I guess, mission statement to be a little more adding of all the different entities in which are impacted by veterans benefits. And when we do that, when we add in the spouses, the dependents, the surviving spouses, the caregivers, all of a sudden we're at about 45 million.
Right.
That is a big number that cannot be ignored, right? Where,
100%.
hey, disabled veterans need this. Okay, look, that's 6 million votes, spread out throughout the nation. Is it really going to be impactful? Maybe, maybe not. So I think that one way is the strength in numbers and how we present ourselves as a community.
Right.
The second piece is that strength in numbers translates into the veteran service organizations as lobbying bodies. Look at it as a you're paying for a lobbyist, right? Yeah, look, some people don't want to go to the meetings. Some people don't want to go sit at go partridge the bar at a VFW. I didn't mind doing that when I had one close by, but many people aren't really into that, and that's fine. Look at it as it's a lobbying fee, and I'll tell you that if you had your spouse, your dependent children, that type of stuff, sign up on the auxiliary side, you signed up, those numbers increase. And I'll tell you, Scott, at one point I signed up for, I think I was like in 8 different service organizations,
Right.
just to duplicate my number, right? Because I'm just one more for each one. And it was the mindset of this is a lobbying fee. And I signed up, lifetime membership stuff,
Right.
when I got back pay from a disability compensation thing. So as much as we don't want to think of politics when it comes to veteran benefits, all of the benefits that we have came from a political process.
Right.
Every single benefit that we have was some piece of legislation somewhere, either at the state level or at the federal level. So it is impossible to unconnect the two. So with that, go ahead and give me some of your final thoughts, Scott. I'd love to hear them.
I think my final thoughts are, if we don't act today, we're going to wake up and it's just not going to be what it should be. The VA is under the microscope. And to the audience out there, Jason and I, and I'm sure you are on the same page. The VA does need some reform. You're talking about this computer system, electronic records. It needs to be looked at. Right now, to the VA, we at the NCOA are offering ourselves to help you identify the issues that need to be addressed. SLERA at NCOAUSA.org. Email me. We will be there tomorrow to help you identify what needs to be done, what needs to be protected. And I will tell you, our lobbyist in DC is reaching out to our fellow organizations, the disabled veterans, American Legion, the whole group. And in a perfect world, I want all of us to go in, 10, 15 organizations and spending an afternoon with the secretary to share our thoughts. But again, on my final thought here, ladies and gentlemen, please join the NCOA or join another service organization that you feel represents you. I can tell you the NCOA travel benefits, insurance benefits, we have lots of benefits. We have our medallions, we have education, there's lots of stuff going on. But if there's one thing I can ask you to do today, get on the internet, find who your members of Congress are, call that number, and just introduce yourself, ask to speak with the VA person, share a little about yourself, what you did, your service, and let them know, number one, we're watching. Number two, you want to be a resource. And number three, protect our benefits.
Yeah, good. That's solid. And I'm just going to double tap on the idea of knowing who your congressional member is. Look, some people don't want to put themselves out there. I get it. Like, you don't want to go talk to somebody in person. It's uncomfortable, whatever. You can go on their website. You can send an email. You can write them a letter. You can make a phone call after hours and leave a voicemail. You can call during working hours and actually talk to a person. You can swing by in person. If you are really Johnny or Janie on the spot, you can actually talk to their scheduler and talk with their scheduler and request a meeting with the congressional member. Say, look, I want 10 minutes with the congressman or congresswoman, what have you, and I want to have a conversation about X, Y, and Z, right? Because look, there's all different variations of how much we want to poke and prod, but the awareness at any level is important. So
let me just say this real quick. And Jason, if we can just put this in the pinned on this YouTube video, yeah. Jason will put in a link to how you can look up your member of Congress. All you got to type is your email address. Type in your address, 9023 Main Street, Jacksonville, Florida. Boom. You type that in and you will get the results of your 2 senators and your member of Congress. Check in the pinned comments here. You'll get that link. And then, we are giving you the tools to do what we're saying. We're not saying do something that we haven't done. We'll give you the tools to do it. But Jason, I want to thank you again. Thank you for Veterans InfoTap. And ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure being with you. Have any questions, NCOAUSA.org.
All right. Thank you, Scott. And Scott, I'll ask this of you. If anybody has any questions about NCOA, keep an eye on this video in the comments if you want to try to answer any of those questions that come through. That would probably be very helpful. And with that, thank you guys so much for watching. We really appreciate every single one of you. Have a great one. And remember, if we don't take care of each other, something went wrong.